Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Last First Date Radio, featuring interviews with experts in dating, relating, and mating in midlife. And now, here's your host, Sandy Weiner.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Last First Date Radio, the place to be for creating healthy, lasting, toe-curling relationships in midlife. And today I am excited to be speaking with author, podcast host, speaker, and coach Elizabeth DiAlto about her search for love. And we are going to have a juicy conversation about finding love again after a breakup, after a move. This should be a really interesting conversation. For the last 11 years, I have helped women over 40 enter into the best relationships they've ever had and find the man of their dreams. And the secret is that they found their own value first. I call this the Woman of Value movement. And in the past few months, I have expanded my work to support women in business by giving them accessible tools to speak up and be heard so that they receive the respect and rewards that they deserve. Because women are speaking up more than ever before, but they're still not being heard and promoted the way they should be. Every week I bring you a tip on how to become a woman of value, and this week's tip is do not settle. I actually made a Facebook Live video this week for my private Facebook group, Your Last First Date, and we talked about the difference between compromise and settle. Compromise is important in any healthy relationship, but you should never compromise the things that are essential to you. You should never, ever compromise your values. If you compromise your values, you are settling. You are settling for something or someone that is not right for you, and that takes its toll. Most of us have done this at some point in their lives. I certainly have. And so please do not settle. And before I bring Elizabeth on, I just wanted to let you know that I have a brand new program. It's called the Woman of Value Club. So if you want to learn how to make sense of dating and gain the confidence and skills to find epic love, I invite you to check out the Woman of Value Club. This is a monthly membership group. We have monthly calls twice a month and incredible support in the community for anybody who's tired of all the bad dating advice out there. This is dating advice and support that makes sense and helps you to value yourself and find men who really appreciate and respect and cherish you. So you can go to lastfirstdate.com, my website, and just click on the group coaching tab, and you will learn all about the Woman of Value Club. And now I am excited to announce my special guest. Elizabeth DiAlto is known for her raw, honest, and grounded approach to self-help and spirituality. She's an integrative spiritual counselor, the creator of Wild Soul Movement, an author, and the host of the popular podcast, Truth Telling with Elizabeth DiAlto. I love this podcast, and listening to it, I've been introduced to some amazing, amazing thought leaders and truth tellers, really, really inspiring. Elizabeth has been a teacher, a leader, a speaker, a coach, and a trainer to groups and individuals for over 15 years. She works with women all across the globe through her digital programs and speaking engagements, and she also works in person at intensives, retreats, workshops, and through her training, teacher training, the Wild Soul Movement teacher training. Her greatest mission in life is to help those who identify as women worldwide to reclaim and redefine their own womanhood and contribute to a new paradigm of culture where it's both safe and natural for women to love, trust, and accept themselves fully. I absolutely love her mission. And Teen Shape magazine listed her alongside Dr. Oz, Ellen, Jillian Michaels, and Tim Ferriss as a top 30 motivator. She's written for and been featured in many important publications. And aside from being a prolific creator and community builder, she's also an insatiable learner and a sensualist who loves spas and bathtubs, dancing, especially salsa, reading, traveling, spending time in nature, and she has a laugh that's been described as a sound bath of sunshine and joy. She also has a whole new profession that we're going to talk about a little bit today in comedy. So join me now for episode 331, The Search for Truth and Real Love with Elizabeth DiAlto. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Welcome to the show.
Yay, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm excited to talk to you. I've been a fan for a long time, and I was first introduced to your work through Untame Yourself, where my friend and colleague, Isabel Rizzo, I don't know if you know her personally, but she had recommended the book. She had loved it. And it just spoke to me because it's so much about my mission and the work I do with clients. And I wanted to talk to you about that for just a moment. You have a 9-minute morning ritual in the book. And I've talked to clients and recommended that they, number one, read the book, which they've loved, but also to do this morning ritual because I've seen so many women start their day with the news, with email, with all kinds of things that suck the life out of them. So can you tell our audience about the ritual and why do you feel it's so important?
Yeah. Oh, my God. Thank you for asking. And I love divine timing. So check this out. Today on Instagram, I just wrapped up a 30-day writing devotional. And the thing that I decided to write about today was about, like, how you begin something. And as I started to write, I was like, wait a minute. And I scrolled back to day one where I wrote about how to begin something.
Oh, that's great.
So, obviously, this is something I'm super passionate about. And one of my favorite quotes around why I think this is valuable comes from my absolute favorite childhood movie, which is Mary Poppins, when she says, well begun is half done. And so, like you, I've been working with women for so many years, and I know so many women have so much responsibility, so many people to care for. It's hard, or it feels, or it seems hard to find time for themselves. But I'm a firm believer that something is always better than nothing. So even if it's just 9 minutes in the morning, which, by the way, anyone can get the ritual. It's free on my website, and there's even like a video and an audio to go with it. You go to wildsoulmovement.com/ritual if you want to check it out. But so it's just, we do a little bit of breathing, a little bit of sensual movement, which is just slow movement that gets you out of your head and into your body, right? Because most people, when they're starting the day running, they're thinking, they're already in their to-do list. They're not connecting with themselves. They're not grounded. They're not present, which kind of gets some people in like this anxious or this stress reactive loop for the rest of the day. So like the day is kind of just going to have them instead of living the day intentionally and consciously. And then the last part of it is just a little bit of journaling, like journaling out what you want, which brings that intention into it, right? I love making this like what I have and what I want list, because when we focus on what we already have, we can go, okay, I can take a deep breath. You know, no matter how this day goes, I'm already pretty blessed, which, to be honest, like if you're listening to this interview, you're already pretty blessed. You have access to technology. You can hear, like you got some great things going on for you right now, probably much more than those two basic things. But then what I want, and you get to like want what you want. You get to focus on what you want, which the sneaky part about that is subtly reminding women that you get to have a voice and that you get to have desires and that you get to ask what you want, whether that's from life, God, and the universe, and whatever you believe in, or other people, or also yourself.
Love it. I love it. I found also this, I don't remember where I read that when you start your day, like with email, even checking emails and returning emails, you're already serving others instead of taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
That was a big eye-opener for me. I'm like, oh, my God, I spent my whole life just focusing on pleasing other people. Really important to take care of ourselves and to know that we have a right to ask for what we want. I love that. And to really see our blessings. I mean, yesterday was a crappy day for a lot of people, including me. And I was out, and just everything seemed hard. And then my headlights went out, and I went to get them fixed, and they're like, "Oh, this is going to take hours, and it's going to cost you hundreds of dollars." And I was just like, "Oh my God, this is just so hard." And then this guy came over, and he goes, "I can fix that for you." And for like $60, I had both my headlights fixed. I walked out of there. I was like, "Wow, today's a great day."
and also, can I also just say, like, I know it's a challenging time to be like sympathetic or appreciative towards men in our culture right now, but like that very thing that you just said is what I love most about men. Like, good men in their hearts are helpful, and they like want to be of service. Like, that has not gone out of style.
So true. Yeah, and appreciate them. I appreciated him so much. Gave him a tip, and he was like very curt, like, "Give me the headlights. I'll put them in." Darn it, it's just like, but like he was, but he was great, right? And it is important to look for the good, because we can easily look for what's not good. And today's election day, so we're not going to talk about politics, because there's a lot to talk about there. But I wanted to also just kind of segue into dating and your dating life. And today I saw on Facebook that you wrote about online dating apps are fodder for your comedy. And I have to tell you, first of all, I love it, and I want to hear some of it. But what a lot of people don't know about me is I was married to a professional comedian. And I was married to him for 23 years. He had been on SNL, like that level. So we co-wrote a children's TV show for Nickelodeon, and so I was a comedy writer and director of his comedy and his puppets. We can talk after if you want to hear more. But yeah, I was very immersed in that whole world. Yes, I definitely can talk to you for hours about this whole world of comedy.
So great.
And so I love that you're out there doing it, and it takes a lot of guts to get up, and it's vulnerable to get up in front of an audience and be funny and sometimes bomb and not know how people are going to respond. So let's talk about that for a minute. Like, what made you want to do this?
Oh my goodness. So first of all, I have loved stand-up comedy since I was little. I remember being like 8 and seeing like Rosie O'Donnell on Stand-Up Spotlight on VH1 and being like, wait a minute, this is a job? Like, you stand on a stage and you just make people laugh? And like, I have a really funny family, and like, I'm obviously like a little rambunctious. I've always been this way. And but I never really so I immediately associated comedy with like famous people, and like being a famous person is nothing I ever had any interest in pursuing. So I was just like, let it be a thing I enjoyed, not a thing I would actually do, even though throughout the course of my life I've been doing speaking for many, many, many years, and I'm a funny person. So I know the feeling of like being on a stage in front of a lot of people and like making them laugh, and it's literally one of the greatest feelings ever. So for me. And my little brother has been doing stand-up for like 8 years, so we have a lot of friends now who are comics. But this year, I saw Ali Wong's 2 specials, Baby Cobra, and I forget what the name of the second one was, Tiger Mom or something like that. And then I was at the Hollywood Improv, and I saw Whitney Cummings, and I was just like, damn, I got to do this. Like, I'm in LA. I could just start going to open mics. Like, why would I not just give it a try? But then also there's been some amazing Netflix specials in the last few years where, and I know comedians have always done this, they've always used their platform to speak truth to power, as folks like to say, but there were just some specials this year that really moved me, like W. Kamau Bell's Private School Negro, Hannah Gatsby's Nanette, and I was like, Neil Brennan's 3 Mics, and I'm like, people are getting more creative, and people are really doing this in a cool way, and like I would like to do this. And I'm not attached to the outcome, you know. But I think probably because I'm not attached to it, I've gotten some cool opportunities, and like I've already had paid gigs, and I've only been doing it for like 5 months, and so it's really fun. It's really exciting, and so that was it. To me, it was like pushing another edge on creative expression that like is really in my heart to do.
I love that you push to the edges all the time, and I think that's, I mean, you know, you love to learn, you love to grow, and I think it's a really important part of life. Creativity is an important part of life. I just listened to, on NPR, they had the woman who wrote and directed a semi-documentary film called Unlovable. Have you heard about this?
No.
Really interesting. I looked it up afterwards, but I was listening to her. It's a story of love addiction, of sex addiction, and she was a sex addict who was born of a father. They were immigrants from like the Philippines, I think, and her father was addicted to porn, and she thought that was what love was. That was what sex was. So she had to kind of express her sexuality through sex addiction, through just her body, using her body. And she finally got clean and sober, and she said part of her journey was creativity. And she went and just like totally abstained from sex for quite a long time. And in that time, she went out and explored hobbies and interests that she had never explored before. And I thought that was so interesting, that creativity was such an important part of her healing process. So, you know,
so amazing.
Thinking about, right? I'm an artist too, and I creativity has been like the fire of my life. So it's about plugging it into many different sources. For me, also, it's painting, it's speaking, it's pushing myself to speak on a stage when I was petrified. So I totally get it, and I love making people laugh also. So I think it's brave and exciting to see where you're going to be in a couple of years. You know, like where this is going. It's fun.
Thank you. And the vulnerability piece is so interesting because I didn't realize this about comedy. Where I had a natural leg up is I'm not afraid to bomb. But writing jokes and like never knowing how the material is going to land in any given room, that's the part. And also for me, really wanting to dance, like walk the line respectfully of like never degrading myself, anyone else, or like dehumanizing, you know. But like sometimes things are just funny, but like what's the line of being offensive and like actually being problematic?
Yeah, we straddled that line quite a bit when I was married to my ex-husband. You don't want to, I mean, there are a lot of comedians who use comedy to be passive-aggressive, to mock other people, especially in the audience, and that really makes me cringe. I think you can be quite funny. Like Ellen, to me, is one of the funniest stand-up comics to me because she doesn't mock people. She's just silly, funny, great observer of life. I remember the first time I saw her on a stage, and I was like, she's different. She's got something that's clean and really just wonderful. And she does good in the world, too, so that's all good. All right, so let's talk about funny dating stories. Oh, my God. Yeah, so give us some examples of some funny things that have happened since you started using dating apps.
Oh, my God. All right, so let me check in with you first and ask, like, how explicit can I be? Because some of it is around sexuality, and, like, I don't want to be raunchy, but this is one of the things, like, dating apps invite.
You can be pretty explicit. I can just add a little caveat when I post this to iTunes that this is rated X.
Yeah, all right, so we'll be X-rated here. This is just so funny to me. Okay, so I was doing an experiment. I have studied copywriting. I do a lot of writing and marketing in my own business. So this is another thing about dating apps that I think about a lot, and I have a lot of compassion for, like, whoever is out there trying to put themselves out there. Like, most people are not taught how to, like, speak about themselves or, like, take good photos. Like, I have a website. I have all kinds of great photos. Like, I've written about pages on my website for years. Like, I'm very comfortable with these things. So I've been experimenting with the language in my profile. So in one of them, I was like, okay, I'm going to write this sentence. looking for a lover or more with the right man to see what kind of matches that would attract. I had a feeling, I mean, I knew it was a little saucier. I would probably get like a lot more like sexually explicit kind of connection, and that certainly happened. And so this one guy, like, I have a pet peeve, and it's that when people start calling you like hun, honey, babe, baby before they've even met you. Like, I don't even want you calling me that until we're like dating, you know?
Right.
It's so weird and unnecessary to me. So that's kind of a red flag for me. But this guy, like, almost right out of the gates was like, are you open to something casual? And I was like, yeah. So then he just, like, tells me how big his dick is.
Okay.
He's just like, I'm 7.5 inches. And I'm like, okay. Like, thanks for letting me know. Like, how am I supposed to respond to that?
Have you measured your vagina yet?
Yeah, like, I didn't want to be like, well, yeah, like, my depth is, like, I don't know. So strange. So there's that. But aside from, like, that being bizarre, I decided, like, and part of me is, like, doing this as an experiment. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to meet up with this guy. And I meet up with him, and, like, we go for a drink. And here's the funny thing. For as sexually explicit he was in text, he was just a nice, normal, fun, kind dude. Like, we were talking about, like, travel. Like, we had such a normal conversation over, like, margaritas and chips and salsa. I was like, is this the same person that, like, several hours ago was, like, letting me know how big his dick is when I clearly didn't ask? So that, to me, is so bizarre. So then I'm just going in. I'm just telling you the whole story. So we had talked about this ahead of time. I was like, listen, I'm not making any promises, but I'm going to go back to your place. I'm definitely just letting you know right now, I'm not having sex with you tonight. He's like, it's cool. Like, if anything, like, we can go back to my house, like, make out, lounge. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. So I was enjoying the connection. I'm like, all right, fine. So I go back to his house with him. And anyway, I won't get into all the gory details, but what I have found is that you can tell when a man has gotten his sexual education from porn. Because it's like some of the things they say. Sandy, like, he, like, takes it out, and he's like, it's so huge. But here's the best part. It wasn't. And, like, again, how, like, at least when someone's texting you ridiculous things, you could be, like, in the comfort of your own home having your reaction. But when they're right in front of you, and also still, like, regardless of how awkward any of this is, it's still their penis, and it's such a thing that they have such vulnerability around, even though they might be talking about it like they don't. And so I'm not trying to make anyone feel ashamed or demoralized, and all I can do is my very best not to laugh and, like, think of, like, I need to set a boundary here. What is happening? And I was like, listen, on a scale of 1 to 10 of awkwardness right now, I'm at, like, a 7, and I think I need to go.
Oh, that's a great boundary.
Like, it's nothing personal. Like, I am not comfortable, and I got to go. I have to go. I'm not sticking around to see what might happen next.
Oh,
so,
boy.
like that. So, to me, like,
yeah,
that's
the penis
that's
thing.
Yes.
It's like what they don't realize that women, for the most part, are not looking for that as their number one quality in a man. I mean,
right.
And I had a guy cry on a date recently. He kept talking about his ex-girlfriend, and I said, when's the last time you were in a relationship? And he said, 2 weeks ago. And he got really sad. And I said, well, why are you out with me? Like, seriously. He goes, I'm totally fine. I'm great. What am I going to do, stay home and cry? And he was so not fine. And then he started to cry, and I was just like, hey, let's just go. And at the end, he walked me to my car, and he was like, Sandy, I have a lot of work to do. And I said, yeah, good luck.
Aww.
Yeah, it was sweet, but he really thought he was ready. He was 100% sure he was a great catch. He was ready 2 weeks after a 6-year relationship ended. It was the only relationship he had after his 6 years. 6 fucking years. Anyway.
Right. So it's kind of like there's also like all these question marks around like emotional intelligence, awareness, maturity, and like you respect that the guy wants to be out there and like be in the game, but like too soon.
Yeah, and I don't tell men that it's too soon. Like I used to go, "Oh, you're not ready. You just got, your wife died a week ago.
No,
like you're not ready."
I would never say that to them. Yeah.
I don't. I don't say it, but it's just I'm not going to date you right now. We're in different places. So what do you like? You're a very evolved woman who speaks her mind. You're clear. You're what I would call a woman of value, and you're finding a lack of emotional intelligence in a lot of the people that you're coming in contact with. So how do you deal with that? How do you handle it?
Well, I mean, first of all, on my part, for the most part this year, I've been interacting with people on dating apps. So I think it like kind of comes with the territory. And I think also it is like a lot of, I get to decide like what I want to engage with. And so the other thing for me recently, I have some friends who are in amazing long-term relationships. And what I've been finding is that people who are in like relationships that they can really describe as like great and happy and healthy and sustainable, they didn't start that way. And these women will share with me that like they worked on it for years together to get it to that place. And so one of the things that I'm really in a constant dance with is what am I interested in signing up for and what am I not? So I think when you were telling the story about that man that you went on that date with, it reminded me of this meme that I saw a couple weeks ago that was a man wearing like a giant backpack. And in the background there was a picture of a woman, and it said the label on her was woman, and then the label on the backpack was men who don't want to pay for therapy. And it's funny, but what's also true is that because in our culture, men are basically not allowed to have emotions, like that's not celebrated, applauded, encouraged. Men need someone to talk to. And so I think a lot of men are getting that met through dating. Because I noticed this with the dating apps too. Some people would be fine to like be your pen pal indefinitely.
Yeah.
And so for me, like, so these kinds of like red flags, right? If someone's just like chatting forever but not making any effort or taking any initiative to like ask me out or meet me, I gotta go. I'm not going to do that. I personally want someone who takes the lead. Like all of those things you said about me, I appreciate the compliments. Like I run a business. I spend a lot of time being in charge. That is not the dynamic I want in a relationship. I want to be.
Do you tell that to men?
Relaxed. Yes. Like
Good.
This is one of the things it says in my profile is like I appreciate men who are confident, self-aware, know what they want, like to lead, and love curves. Because that's the other thing. Like I'm not a skinny mini, and my last relationship was with a very narcissistic person, and the number one thing he criticized me about was my body. I will never stand for that again. Someone could be amazing. The minute he says anything about my body, I'm out. I could, if I wanted to like marry this guy, you criticize my body once, I would just like literally pick up my shit, say nothing, and walk out the door. Never again. So for me, just putting that out there, like you must love what I literally am and have. And, these are the things that I'm looking for, so it's just clear. But the way I handle it is I always want to be so kind because I've really learned through all kinds of work that I've done, the work that I lead and seminars that I've gone to, we really never know what anyone's trauma or wounds are. And I'm not trying to be judgmental, and I'm not trying to be like a huge bitch or, the person that makes someone feel even more ashamed about the thing that maybe they haven't dealt with. So I always want to be super kind. So like even, for example, that guy I was telling you about who was like telling me all about his 7.5 inches, like he even afterwards, like he was like, text me when you get home. And I was like, sure. And I texted him And then he was like, did you like it, with the eggplant emoji? And I was like,
oh my
really?
God.
Like, this guy is obsessed with his dick. And I didn't answer him, but I waited till the morning, and I was like, hey, it was super fun to meet you. I thought you were super attractive, enjoyed spending time with you. I'm someone who really needs to feel an emotional connection to feel, turned on and want to continue spending time with someone. And that aspect of connection just wasn't there for me. Best of luck with your bubbling. So
Great.
I needed
That's
to be
beautiful.
clear. I wasn't interested in answering the question because, no, actually, I didn't like it. I left when you pulled it out.
Right.
So, but I do not need to shame you. I don't need to make you feel stupid. Like, I don't need to give you unsolicited feedback you didn't ask for. I could just very kindly and very gracefully say, hey, this is not for me, but wish you the best, while also considering my own safety, right? Because I think that's something I've never thought about as much before. But when we see how men are showing up in the world violently in some ways these days, it also makes me want to not give anyone a reason to want to hurt or harm me in any way.
Yeah, you make a lot of good points. And I think taking the high road, first of all, is always the best thing to do. What I find in my Facebook group that I run is that so many women ask questions about why men do what they do. Like, why did he say his penis was 7.5 inches? And why do men treat me like this? And why do they ghost? And why? And those are not the right questions, in my opinion. Those are not good. You could ask yourself those questions for a year, and you will not get the answers because they do it for all kinds of reasons. But the real question to ask yourself is more of a high-value question, which would be, do I want to hang around with a guy who keeps whipping out his penis and talking about it? Do I want to, connect with somebody, right? So, but those are the questions you should be asking yourself. Like, somebody in my group was friend-zoned after being with somebody for 8 months, and her question was how to stay present while she was in the friend zone. And I was just like, that's the wrong question. You're right. The right question to ask is, do I want to be friends with this guy who just friend zoned me? After being with him for 8 months, do I really want to be in that relationship? So, we really have to take back our power and stop feeling so disempowered in the whole dating world, but also not be mean about it and vengeful.
Totally.
And it's exhausting to date that way. So this is fun.
Can I say one more thing about that?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So my work in Wild Soul Movement is about embodiment, and it's about really using your body, learning your body's unique language of the senses. And so as a way of knowing what your communication, what your intuition and your truth is communicating with you. And so this is one of the things that I really, really pay attention for when I'm dating is, how do I feel while I'm with this person, and how do I feel after? Because I notice different men bring out different energy in me, right? I have this one man who, he's my favorite lover ever of all time. So, and we have this easy, fun, natural, super steamy, but also really loving and deep connection. And it always, we agree, it literally feels like going to the spa after we hang out. It's so nourishing, so enlivening, so energizing. So, that's something I'll continue doing. A date I went on recently, I actually felt very nervous around this man. But I realized later it wasn't a bad nervous. The thing that, and this says a lot about my experiences with men, that I was unfamiliar with was the feeling of, it was respect. He was a grown-ass man who had his shit together, travels, adventures, I was like, oh, cool. Good to know that, my system wasn't attuned to that.
Yeah.
So I pay attention to how I feel during and after.
I love that. I think, I'm so glad you brought up the feeling part, because actually men date this way. Men are much better at listening to their feelings than women. They either feel something or they don't feel something, and they don't intellectualize it and say, well, she was really nice. I wasn't attracted to her, but, I'll give her 6 more dates. And women are like, let me see how I can twist myself into a pretzel and somehow make this work,
No,
even though it's obvious that it's not working, right? So we just need to get back to the simple, how do I feel? How do I feel when I'm with him?
Yeah.
How do I feel after I leave him? And that's why, like, the energy, and like when you brought up the man with the 7.5, we'll just call him 7.5.
We'll call him 7.5.
He was he was completely different in text than he was in person at the bar, and then different in his home. So it's your energy. The energy that we exchange is so important. I mean, my daughter was dating online. She is single for the first time in a while. She's 23. And she was talking to a bunch of guys on Tinder, and she hadn't met any of them. And I said, you got to get off messaging and just meet them. And she said, but I'm scared. And I said, but you're investing all this time and energy in these guys that you don't know anything about. You know, oh, but he seems so great. We have the same taste in music. And I'm like, energy. Your energy is valuable. Preserve it.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Ah, man, this is a topic we could talk about for hours, but unfortunately we're out of time. This has been fantastic. Really, I'm so happy to have you on the show, Elizabeth. And
so enjoyable. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you tell everybody how to find you?
Yeah, wildstillmovement.com is the main website, and if you like social media, on Instagram at Elizabeth DiAlto, which I'm sure you'll have links and show notes and stuff. Those are the two easiest, best places to connect.
Okay, awesome, and good luck with your dating life, and I would love to talk to you more about the comedy world, and good luck with everything.
Oh my God, yes, I'll send you a Facebook message. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody. And if you love our show, please rate and review us. We would be so grateful and help more people find out about Your Last First Date Radio. And we hope you go on your last first date very soon. Have a great day.